Mike here at THELIPOGUY. Today we're going to be cooking one of my favorite dishes. It's a chili con carne, very clean chili con carne sort of dish. Very high protein, good clean carbs, very high fiber sort of dish. So we've got some mince here cooking up. We're going to have some chickpeas, some red kidney beans, and we're going to have some beautiful lentils in here. And we're going to basically just get some crushed tomatoes and a few sort of herbs and spices, and that's all we pretty much need. Pretty much out of this batch we should get around maybe sort of 6 to 8 meals. It only honestly takes maybe around 20 minutes to cook, nothing crazy. Now we've had this meat going in here for, I'd say maybe around 5 minutes, sort of medium to high heat. Let's just crank that up a notch. Now we are getting a lean mince, so you've got your 3 types of mince. You've got your full fat basically, you've got your lean mince and extra lean. I find the extra lean's a little bit too dry, and the difference in terms of fat is only a little bit, so you know, you don't really need to go too lean unless if you are sort of prepping for a comp or something like that. But yeah, definitely don't go the full fat one. That stuff's oily as fuck. But yeah, go the lean one. That's a good one there. So what we do is we get all our beans. So this is pretty much I would say around maybe 80%, 75% cooked, more or less. Just grab one of these. We're going to basically filter all the water. So we just want, you know, pure bean and lentils there. So just throw it straight in like that. Beautiful kidney beans in here, fresh. Got 2 tins. These are 240 gram each, so pretty decent. In go the kidney beans. Beautiful chickpeas in here. Throw those in as well. So the beans are really good. I mean, look, you know, in a 100 gram serve, you're going to get anywhere sort of between 5 to 7 grams of protein. You know, if you're going to mix that with the meat as well, and you know, you can have a few other bits and pieces. Just be careful, obviously, the protein count. But you know, straight away there, you know, in a couple of 100 gram serving with beans and meat, you know, you're already looking at sort of 50 to 60 grams of protein straight up. You know, you add that with a little bit of rice, you know, so it's a very good protein to carb sort of ratio, obviously, depending how much rice you add. But yeah, that's, you know, that's pretty much it. So we've got that sizzling up in here a little bit. So we just give it a really good mix. We haven't had any sauces yet, no salts. Just pure meat and beans. We've got lentils, chickpeas, kidney beans, and the lean mince in here. By the way, we've actually used 2 of the 500 grams, so we do have a kilo of mince in here as well. So just give it a really good mix. The meat sort of looks like, you know, it's around sort of 85–90% cooked now. So just give it a really good stir. So what we want to do is we want to let the beans get sort of, you know, they go in pretty hard. We want to get it nice and soft, and that gives it a really good texture as well. So what we do at this point, we basically add a little bit of salt and pepper. So just grab a few things in here. We've got salt and pepper straight in. Now, I am using a little bit because, you know, this is a couple of kilo batch in here, so nothing, you know, it's not that much. Got a bit of cumin seed, however you pronounce it. It's always a funny one. Just put it straight in. This is 25 grams, so I pretty much, in a batch like this, I'd probably use, you know, a good quarter of it. So you've got to remember that this is a serving that's going to give you about 8 sort of servings. So it's a decent batch in here, so just, you know, pump it in. What else we got? A little bit of curry powder. Again, this one here is 50 gram. I'm going to throw that in. Probably with the curry powder, you know, you're good to use probably about a quarter. So I'm just cranking it up. Yeah, just give it a good kick, you know, proper kick. A little bit of paprika, just throw that in as well. Yeah. So you can already see in here, you know, just Get that for you. There. Right there. Beautiful. So, and lastly, for a little bit of a kick, we use a little bit of Tabasco. So, just move that in a little bit so you can see what's going on in there. So just throw that in. I like my chili. Chili's really good for your metabolism. Just give it that little spike. Also really good for energy. So yeah, that's pretty much all you need. So what we do now is give it another good stir. We get those spices, get it into the meat before the meat's fully cooked. Get it into the beans, just soak it up. In there. Alright, so I've just given a really good mix now in here. Now is when we can actually add our tomatoes. So I'm just using some crushed tomatoes. This is a different one. It's crushed tomatoes, but it's got mixed herbs. I'm not too fussed because it doesn't really affect the flavor that much. You know, pretty much all the spices you've just added in, they pretty much override any sort of flavoring. But I do recommend just using, you know, your standard sort of crushed tomatoes in there. Just pop that in, 2 cans. So on a batch like that, you probably use 2 cans. What's really, really nice, I'm not actually using that today, but you can use just tomato paste. Because it's quite concentrated, you only probably need just the 1 little tin. And what that does is it sort of just thickens it a little bit. So this one will probably have a pretty good consistency through, but sometimes people don't want it too wet, or you know, they want a little bit drier. So the tomato paste is really good to just sort of help stick everything together and bind it all together, I guess. So we give it another good mix. We're just mixing all day. It's just training, you know, the whole time. We're just training arms, big arm sessions. So give it a really good mix in here. Show you guys in a minute what's up. And there we go. You guys can make it however you like it. You can put chopped up sort of Spanish onion in there, give it a nice little sort of sweet flavor. You can just, you know, sort of play with the spices if you want it more intense. Add more Tabasco, add more curry powder. That's kind of sort of how I like it. Now I'll let that sort of simmer on a very low heat, probably for about 10 minutes. And basically all the juices sort of release within those 10 minutes, and you do end up with sort of a drier sort of you know, serving in there. But basically this is what we're looking at in here. So you guys can see that. Very, very clean meal. You can see I didn't add any oil. I'm probably going to get about anywhere between sort of 6 to 8 servings. Each serving is probably going to give me around a good sort of 50-60 gram protein. Very, very high fiber, very good clean carbs. So, you know, you might want to smash these out a couple of times a day, lunchtime, 3 o'clock meal, and obviously, you know, work around sort of your other daily requirements as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.